Division 2 Season 9 and Tux has your back. And this time, we're going to be working with the new Bluescreen Exotic LMG. Let's rock. What up, Bandidos? And we are back for more. Let's get into some trouble together. Today, we're going to be working on the Bluescreen Exotic LMG. And if you've been following along my channel, then you know that we've been kind of tugging along through all the new exotics. We start with the Catharsis mask, and that one's a ton of fun. But today, we're going to be working on the Bluescreen. And let's take a look at it. If you haven't got this yet, it is on your rewards track around, what is it, level 85 or something like that, level 80, 85 or whatever. It's up there. Anyways, you can also get this in the general loot pool right now for a limited time until probably Tuesday when they fix this. After that, they're probably gonna limit it to the rewards track. Once you unlock it, you'll be able to farm for it through the exotic caches or targeted loot. So anyways, so basically, this is it. It's sort of the exotic variation of the GR9 or the Dare, which is the name GR9. It's sort of that. It looks a lot like the Stoner, so you know, but it's not. So it's got 117,000 base weapon damage. I got 2 armor cores on mine. 660 RPM, 100 in the mag. It's kind of a small mag, kind of not big, not small. You know, it's right there. But you know, the Stoner and the Dare all have the up to 250 mag thing, so you know, it's small compared to those. So if we look at the mods here, we got reload speed, everything's basically handling. We got weapon handling, stability, and rate of fire. So it's got really good stability, but the accuracy is kind of blah, just so you know. So look out for that. Otherwise, it's a really good weapon so far. Feels good, handles good. Now this can be really confusing, okay? But so I'm gonna sort of just kind of cut into it a little bit. So basically, you gain 50 stacks just by tagging an enemy, okay? And so when you deploy a skill that's not a shield, so any skill that's not a shield, then basically you activate those stacks. And it depends on how many stacks that you have accumulated. So the stacks are on you. So you mark a target, but you carry the stacks, just so you know. It doesn't really matter, but there's stacks. There's a meter. You'll see it. So 10 stacks give a pulse. 11 to 25 gives a pulse and a disrupt. And then you get pulse, disrupt, and disorient. And then 50 stacks is everything that we just said, except it also marks all targets within 10 meters of a marked hostile also get those for 5 seconds. So status, so you know right off the bat, status effects does not affect any of these stacks, okay? So if you look closely in the description at the last paragraph, it says marked targets trigger an effect. It doesn't say status effect, right? It's purposely left out the word status. We did test this. No matter what, how many status effects you have on your build, you only get 5 seconds. Does that make sense? So that's gonna be you know, so there's a lot more to that. I'm gonna explain that in a second, but let's just leave it at that for a moment, and then I'll explain more. But so the idea is you got to mark targets. That's critical. Okay, so if you don't have marked targets, all of this is pointless. You know, I mean, there's gonna be cases obviously where it's just you and a chunga, and you're sitting there. You know, obviously there's no more targets to mark, but it's about marking. It's a crowd control weapon. If you want to make the most of it, you want to mark as many targets as possible, right? So you can disorient them for the most part. So obviously you can have your one-on-one scenarios, but for the most part, you do want to do that. So I did run this on the status effect control or status effect build at first, but once we realized that status effects don't change this effect, then that's sort of like, well, okay, so I got a status effect. I weakened the gun because it's got no weapon damage cores and no crits and stuff like that. So but you're still applying this effect, but it's again like the Scorpio shotgun. So the Scorpio shotgun, you can't change with status effects either. The difference is that the Scorpio shotgun is easier to use, and the reason why it's easier to use is because it doesn't rely on a skill for you to get your perks, right? So you don't have to deploy a skill to get your perks. Also, you don't have to mark targets. You just aim. I mean, it does mark a target, but you don't have to mark multiple targets. You just aim and shoot, right? This one, it's sort of, if you're not marking a bunch of targets, you're not really getting the full benefit out of it. So what I found when I was running something that relied on constant use of a skill, like a skill build, like a status effect skill build, I found that like you had a lot of balls in the air. You know, you're trying to like mark as many targets as you can and trying to deploy your skills as often as you can, and they were conflicting with each other. Shoot or skill, shoot or skill. Now, so what I found is like the main objective for the blue screen, and you'll figure this out on your own. So I you know, try it both ways. You should. But this is what I found, is that the main objective is to tag as many targets as possible. And then by the time you get your 50 stacks up, then your skill cooldown, even without a skill tier, should be ready to go, right? So depending on your skill, of course. And so I'm using, you know, just these basic skills, which is the scanner and the booster. Okay, so and so by the time, so that's about 18 seconds. So about every 18 seconds, I'm gonna use up those 50 stacks from this gun, give or take. And if I need to use my other skill, then I got the booster that will also activate it. So all you gotta do is deploy these, right? So now, because the main focus is stacking, or is marking targets and stacking, right? Marking targets and stacking, I felt like the best build, and I haven't even tested this yet, but I feel like the best build for this is actually a Negotiator's build, because it is about marking as many targets as possible. To go with that, I feel like the chest piece is also even better than running it without, because you're allowed to mark more targets, right? So you can mark up to 5 targets, and that's just about right. So we'll see if it's just about right. We'll see if we want the chest. We have other options too. So we're gonna try this and see, marking 5 targets, that should be about 50 stacks, 10 targets, 10 stacks per target on average. You'll be accumulating on average, of course. And then we're not only stunning them, making them basically unable to fight us back, because we'll be paralyzing them, but we're also killing them at the same time. So so I always say that the Negotiator's Dilemma is a DPS crowd control, so it basically thins the ranks. So really good for obviously solo and group builds. But when you're running in a group, you're basically, even if you're not killing guys, which you are because you're pretty powerful with this thing, you're weakening tons of enemies, right? Just because you're spreading damage across the field. So we're spreading lots of damage, and we're also paralyzing them. So we are a DPS crowd control build. That's what we are. That also applies a status effect, and also thins the ranks. So we're marking it. So our goal is to mark as many targets and to blow them down, and then deploy the skills to make sure we do the status effect. So we'll be testing which skills are best as well. So I'm using the Coyote's mask. Of course, I have the Catharsis mask, but I feel like the Coyote's mask synergizes better because this is a crit build, and so this allows me to free up some space for crits. So we're gonna be playing mostly, you know, we're gonna be playing at all ranges, but I've had the build spec'd into 15 to 25 meters for the LMG. And so if you look at our stats, we're at 49%. So with the mask, we're gonna be at 59%. And then we're also gonna be at 145%, and then crit hit damage with the mask. And then the set is going to give us another 40%, so we'll be at 185% crit hit damage, which is pretty healthy for this LMG. And then we also have 14% armor damage, which is also healthy. And then we have damage to targets out of cover coming off of this is at 10%. Of course, we're not maxed out. So I do have the Contractor's Gloves, so that was giving us more damage to armor. We also get into more weapon damage there as well. And then otherwise, we're just seeing crits everywhere, all right? Crits everywhere. So I am running Gunner because it's an LMG, so we're looking for ammo. Also better handling, 10% more handling when we're standing still. We get an increased rate of fire as well as faster reloads off of that too. So very basic setup. You know what a Negotiator's looks like. Now notice I put 1.1 million armor on there just to kind of go with the theme of these tanky DPS builds that we have going on. So a little survivability is not going to hurt us. And so let's see how we like it. So I got a couple of boys with me. We're gonna run a legendary. Actually, I feel like this is a good legendary build. I did try it in first. We did try it in the countdown, and I felt like the enemies died too quick for it. It was really hard to make anything happen. It was rare. They had to be like really tanky. So we're gonna try doing this. So capital building is the weekly project, but I do want to start on District Union Arena, but we do need one more player. Looks like OG just delta, but he'll come back here in a second. So if anybody is out there and wants to play, I do need one more. Swag King is still out about. Anybody want to run with us? If not, I'll just matchmake, but not a problem. So anybody who's on my friends list is welcome to join. So okay, I'll just head on over there and we'll see what's going on. OG Dances is delta already. So what do you guys think? You guys have this yet? So it wasn't that hard. So you know how I got mine is you'll see here in a second. I'll show you here in a second. But I've hardly even focused on my my season pass. Like I haven't even really been worried about it. I'm gonna start working on it this week to rank up, just to show you guys like how I do it. But I haven't been worried about it because I've gotten everything that I've needed just from playing Countdown. So all of my gear, I got all this Heartbreaker and Uzina Getica stuff, all from playing Countdown. I've also ranked up my proficiency pretty high, my proficiency expertise system pretty high from that as well. And then, so yeah, as you can see, my Cody's mask is fully proficient. My Catharsis mask, I was just testing, but I did roll some expertise. And then my Regulus is proficient. So all just from playing, really. Most of this is just from playing the game. I got all these dares. They're all proficient, as you can see. I got all of these just from playing Countdown. They just drop. Gear just drops, right? Kingbreaker. That was gifted, but technically Countdown. TKB 408. So I've gotten everything from that. So, let me show you my ranking. So level 26. So I'm barely level 26. I haven't been worried about it. Normally I grind this really fast in the first 2 or 3 days, but with the new game mode, that just seems to be the best way. It really is. So, anyway, so how I got my 3 exotics. So you're probably wondering, well, if you're only at level 20, whatever, how'd you get the exotics? So I got the 3 exotics. So as you can see, I got the Dread Addict. I got 2 blue screens, technically. The other one's on my other character. And then I got the Catharsis mask, which is at level 90 or whatever on the rewards track. I got all this just by opening exotic caches. So, I'm getting shot at, I think. Yeah, so let's give a little test here. So see the little mark is that circle. So you mark these guys, and then once you get stacks, all you got to do is deploy your skill. So you want to, you see the little meter on the bottom of my character there, the little circle stack thing. Sorry for the aim. I'm kind of looking at that stacks. So once that's there, then see, as you can see, my skill became available. Just timing's about right, and then he got staggered. You see that? He's got two status effects plus the Negotiator's mark. So, Mr. Szechuan! Yeah, Mr. Szechuan. We tried that too, but Mr. Szechuan says, I do have it, mostly suspected to status effect damage because of the vile combo. It can be run numerous amount of ways. Much love, Tux. Yes, and I look forward to exploring all of those ways. And I think, like, for my approach, Mr. Szechuan, is like, we did test experiment that way a little bit, but for the most part with all of the exotics, I'm looking, and this is for everybody, that, starting off with sort of like the fundamental builds of them. Like, just to, this is how it works. This is the best fundamental build. This is the best build for the basic understanding of how this weapon works. The Catharsis mask and whatever. The Catharsis mask works really well when you're taking damage, for example, right? So you want to build where you're taking damage, right? So which means you're going to be spending a lot of time out of cover or playing difficult content like Legendary. So, but Mr. Szechuan is exactly right. It's actually, it might be a bug, but the biomask does work. The biomask works. It's triggered with no other skill but the blue screen. Now the blue screen doesn't apply a status effect, so I suspect that is actually a bug, but it does work. So you can spec in the status effects and explosive damage to make your bio stronger. So let's try these guys. Let's tag these guys, as many of them as we can. And then, as you can see, a lot of them are going to be dying anyways because of our belt. But then we deploy this, and then they just all got staggered. You see that? Now, if for some reason my skill isn't up, then I'll just drop my booster. You see that? And so that's how I'll manage that. And so I won't be relying on the booster. It's just a little extra nice to have in case I need to deploy a skill. So again, it's about marking targets. Your first thing's the priority is to mark as many targets as you can. Ooh, they threw a grenade on me. That was mean and perfect. And then another grenade? Really? Wow. They are pros. And then, I better move. I see a whole squad coming in. And then I Damn, look at all those grenades they're throwing. Jesus, fuck. That's insane. Oh, what? Where'd she come from? What is going on? Getting my butt kicked. Anyways, so that's basically how it works. It's okay. We're probably gonna have to restart. Let me just restart. Jeremy Howard, what's going on, bro? Appreciate the dono too, Mr. Sezron. Thanks for that super chat. Smoking Ninja in the house. So if anybody wants to jump in, I do have an available spot. What are we saying nowadays? Spot. MBD, what up, brother? Oopskies. And so Blake Morris in the house. And so I'm about to. Well, I'll go to matchmake if we don't have it. We can play this with 3 people too. So. Yeah, remember LMGs don't have a ton of burst damage, and on top of that, this one's got a smaller mag. So. Damn, OG Dancing Bear, you're having issues, brother. You got disconnected again? I'm gonna reset the map because I don't want to have all these people hanging outside that door trying to fight. I'll turn up the game volume just a little bit more too, so you can hear them. You can hear the people running up behind me. Get on my 6. So yeah, it'll be interesting, kind of like how we play. You know, will we be posting forward? Will we be posting backward? I mean, in the rear of the fight. You know, we got to feel out like the range of this LMG. Now we can look at the optimal range, like what it says, but also how effective we feel at, you know, 30, 45 meters. And that's kind of why I wanted to do District Union first, because, you know, Capitol building, you play pretty deep in the beginning, and I feel like I'm wondering if the blue screen is going to even be that good on the entrance of the Capitol building. I mean, you know how hard it's going to be to market a bunch of enemies at that distance that they play. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, you know, maybe the Dread Edict would be better, right? On the Capitol building lawn. At least for the first wave. All right. Let's try this again. No, I'll go ahead and matchmake, but...
You've got your objective. Don't let anything stand in your way. You've got your objective. Don't let anything stand in your way. You've got your objective. Don't let anything stand in your way.
So I have to reset the map, I mean the mission over and over. I don't know if you guys do this, but if you don't, the enemies will move out of optimal attacking, because you want to get that surprise attack on them. So if you stand inside and you activate it like that, then they start walking around, and it's a little bit harder to get a surprise attack on them. So, but at the same time, if you stand in here and you kick it off, it starts inviting other additional players into your game. So, so let's go ahead and restart the legendary, and now we'll kick it off. We don't need a full squad, but shit, again, fuck. I hate when they do this. It's like you have no ammo out here. That's the biggest annoying thing. You have no ammo. Yeah, so you kind of use up the ammo, and then you can't even refill it. So okay, let's go. Now we can go. Let's make sure we're matching.
You got your objective. Don't let anything stand in your way.
All right, we got a little fog on our side. Things are actually a little bit easier in the fog if you didn't know that in legendary. But let's see how we do. So, so normally I'd have a decoy, so we are going to be down a decoy. So keep that in mind. But let's start tagging enemies. We want to tag that tank especially too, because then we could use it to our advantage. And then with his pulse. And then they all got staggered. So like a best time to do that is maybe when you're even reloading, right? You try to like time it out with your reload. So if you don't use your stacks every 50, then you're just kind of building stacks for no reason. You know what I mean? I mean, but you can't. I mean, sometimes you might want to save your stacks as a strategy. Like, oh shit, those rushers are coming, or the chunga's coming, or whatever. You know, I got full stacks. He's gonna come in a minute, so I'm not gonna deploy my skill. So you got to time your skill out with your. See how fast we're already on the second wave. So all I got to do is tag these ladies. See, I already have those status effects, right? They're stacked, so I already have that O filled up there. So all we need to do is tag these people, and then we mark them. There, we paralyze them, and then hopefully that buys the team time to put out some more shots, right? Otherwise, it's about tagging, right? So I got the Negotiator's Dilemma, so I'm tagging, spreading damage. Now I'm at full stacks, so now I can pull. Paralyze her. Allows my enemies to, my allies to get more shots out. So, it might work even better if you communicate that too, if you're able to communicate that. So there we go. Everybody's basically clear. You got probably a red tank in there and an engineer. But communicating that's probably ready to stagger, almost ready to stagger. I mean, it's more than just stagger, but communicating that somehow is probably a good idea. So, all right, so it just turns out that I feel like that scanner pulse is about right. So, you know, by the time it comes back up, the pulse, there we go, see that? Now, by doing that, it keeps the chungas from shooting at you too, so, you know. Drop my hive. And what's also important about that is you're keeping the chungas from advancing, right? When you stagger them, because that's their biggest threat. It's them getting an angle in on you, right? Really easy to build stacks on him. As you can see, I'm almost full stacks. And then I'll stagger. Stagger. Now, if you pair this up with the biomask, as Mr. Szechuan mentioned, you can also damage when you apply that stagger. I'm calling it stagger, but it's obviously disrupt and disorient and a bunch of other things, but it's easier to call it stagger. But when you apply that, they can also get pulled some bio stack damages there too. So. Anyways, it's a lot, I gotta say, it's a lot easier using it that way. So yesterday when I was testing it for the first time, I mean, in Countdown is one thing because the enemies just weren't difficult enough to take the damage. They would die before your status effects would you had time to deploy your skill. I mean, in that split second when you go to click your skill, they'd be like dead. You'd be like, damn it, I built all my stacks and then I deployed in, there was nobody left alive. You know what I mean? It would happen too fast. So, you know, I think it is a more difficult content type weapon, but we'll see. Depends on the builds, of course. That might change. But double mics in the house. What's up, brother? Okay, so basically the same thing here. So we got to start all our negotiator stacks over. That's so mark as many as we can, and then stagger. And so this is why I chose the chest piece, because it is less damage, but then it kind of allows me to stay on theme, which is mark as many targets as you can. And it's only 5, so it's not unlimited, but you know, that way you're not transferring the damage out too much. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stagger them in a second. Here we go, staggering. See that? So they're all disorientated and hopefully harmless for a few seconds. The 5 seconds does go by pretty quickly, I gotta say though. Staggering again. Yeah. So in theory, the idea would be that it really slows them on their approach so that they have a harder time getting to us, right? So building up stacks, then I'll stagger again. Because usually what happens is that they get up here and then everybody's like, oh shit, we better bail. So build up these stacks, stagger again. And what I like about the booster, I gotta say, is that it also kind of increases my reload time, right? I'm not using it, relying on it too much, but when it does kick in, it is helping with that. So it allows me to get back into the fight faster. So that worked. So they didn't make it. So they didn't make it to us. And so of course the team's all pitching in, but I would like to say that we helped with our Negotiator's Dilemma and our status effects. What do you think? Did we help or did we suck? But it's gonna take some getting used to. It does feel like I'm, you know, you're building in that routine of deploy the skill. But that pulse was there almost the whole time. There was 1 or 2 times that I had to rely on the booster. But someone opened the door. So remember, you want to loot everything that's junk, right? Nowadays, do not crush anything anymore. Quick tip on your expertise system, because you want to make sure everything's. You know, what's also nice is like when you need to move, you can stagger them. Like when you need to move cover, even if you don't got full stacks. I mean, you need to have at least 11 to, what is the 11th one? It's 11th is disorient, I think, right? Disrupt. You gotta have 11 to disrupt. Tag as many as you can. The more you tag, the more you can disrupt. Tag them. So that'll take down them from keeping this. Give them 5 seconds to get without skills, basically, right? So the suppression is kind of a counterproductive, isn't it? Because when you suppress, you're not tagging anybody. And it's an LMG, so it suppresses. That's what it does. CD Stanley, what's up, brother? It's kind of a nice one, isn't it? Anyways, we do not deconstruct anymore, so I gotta try to remember that every time. Ooh, look at that TKB. Mag size or killer? Maybe. Does not very good optimal range, that weapon, so. Okay, so let's see how it works on dogs, because we got the disrupt. So we want to load up on these dogs here. And we got to tag the other dog. We got to tag both of them. And let's deploy. Yeah, see, disrupted the dog. That's nice. So you can keep doing that on these guys because they're tanky enough. And then drop my skill. Disrupt them again. So really easy to build your stacks on them. That's what I'm saying. You know, all you need is 11 stacks to get that. So you can disrupt dogs 11 stacks. So really good tool to be able to, instead of having an EMP pulse, you know what I mean? Think of the boss on Legendary, the 2 big drones at the end there. That'd be interesting to use this. You now could go, Nick, you could double up with this and your EMP pulse maybe. This guy, Mr. McLevin over there is excited, isn't he? First one in is always the one to die. This is like really typical. Really typical. The one that rushes is always the one. Like, why is it in such a hurry? We're not exactly slow. You know what I mean? Not exactly going at a turtle pace here. But by doing that, it fucks up the whole game, because now, you know, we're the ones that are surprise attacked instead of them. You know? So. You guys know that though, don't you? We could just restart this without him if you guys want to. Second time I noticed you did that. Yeah.
Agent
Yeah.
killed.
And we started without him. That's a problem with random matchmaking sometimes, right? It's like this game etiquette, and I think most players know right now that you should probably wait for the leader to open the door. What up, Roberto Metafina?
Incoming backup request. You have been promoted to group leader. Another agent has joined your group.
Because what you don't want to happen is like you get into like the garage or like the last room, and then the random guy opens the door and you die like right before, and you're like, damn, you spent 45 minutes on this mission just to start it all over. Better off just like, you got a bad apple, purge. That's, I don't know. How do you guys do it? What do you guys do? Fuck it, I'm putting out, I got a guide coming out in the morning, man. You might want to wait for that. But yeah, I mean, if you spend all your resources, that's what I'm telling people. Like, a lot of people are doing the on the expertise system. There's a lot of people doing the you know, unfortunately some people have been promoting it, so I understand why a lot of people are doing it. But the whole buy mods thing and like crush the mods and then use them, so there's layers of resources in the expertise system, and I'm not sure everybody knows that because they haven't all gotten there. But once you've used all your resources to buy mods and SHD points and tapped into your millions of dollars in e-credits to buy all those mods, so when you start rolling up, right, getting to your actual expertise grade, we call that grade, right? It costs different materials that you can't use your watch to acquire. It costs like, what do they call it? Satellite components or whatever that's called, the components. And then protective fabric. Both those things are used for grade leveling up. So what ends up happening is like, okay, oh wow, I spent all of my resources to get the proficiency up so that I can get more expertise, and now I can't even roll to max expertise because it's expensive in the form of components and fabric. Yeah, come on in, I hit hard. So my thing is like, yeah, don't load up front on proficiency. Don't load up on, it's a marathon. It's not a race. It's a big deal, guys. Look, I'm telling you from experience. Look at my e-credits. You see in the bottom corner? It's a serious subject. It's a very serious subject. You don't want to get into a miserable state like me. I'm in misery state here. Look at my e-credits down there, okay? What does it say? 59,372. What do you have? Right? Probably 1 million, 2 million. Some of you may even have 8 million because you haven't spent your resources. Okay, so and so notice I have 59,000. Okay, so that means when I want to go purchase something from a vendor, I have to tap into my SHD watch. That means when I craft something and I run out of resources like electronics, I got to tap into my watch and all that other stuff. Notice how many my reward points I have on my main character. What does that say? 268. Very low. Very, 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 very low. Okay, so every time I need to get more E-credits, it costs me an SHD level. So to get to 109 from where I was, it cost me 4. So one SHD is only 10,000 E-credits, okay? So when you go and spend 5,000 E-credits per mod just to deconstruct it for 6 printer filament, okay? That's crazy. Both in the real world and in this post-apocalyptic, it's raining DZ crazy yellow dust world, okay? So it doesn't matter what world you're in, these resources are valuable even your e-credits are valuable, even more valuable now, because what's gonna happen is like you're gonna spend all of your e-credits and you're like, well, that's cool, I got my watch as backup, but then you're gonna start tapping into your watch, and what it ends up happening is you're gonna look like me, right? You're gonna look like me, where I have no e-credits and my watch level is minimum. Now, I got backup characters, I got 4 characters, right? And so my other 3 characters have resources, and they give me, you know, probably combined like 5, 6, 7,000 rewards to claim, right? But they won't give me e-credits. They cannot give me e-credits. And you're spending e-credits on mods, and you think that 4 million is a lot, but I used to have 4 million too. I used to have 8 million too. And I've been playing this game, I'm only, you know, almost 7,000 on my SHD level, right? So think about how many millions I've gone through. Right? Think about how many watch cycles and SHD points that I've gone through in that time, you know? And so, but the point is that, okay, even if you do that, it is such a horrible, I did it just to show you guys in the video. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, but I did it to show you how long it takes to buy those things, and, you know, and what a daunting task and boring task it is. Where you could just be playing the game to get your expertise level as high as I got it, right? So on mine, and I'll show you what that is in a little later, but it is just not worth it to do that. It's just not worth it. Just play the game. There's no shortcuts. Trust me, they're preventing those shortcuts. Those shortcuts are costing you a lot of resources. And so the very single fastest way to grow your efficiency is by having a large watch and starting a new character. And I did that too. And so I spent over 1,000 SHD points just to show you that. In this video coming out in the morning, spent over 1,000 SHD points to grow, rank my proficiency. And I still ran into roadblocks when you're trying to up your expertise, your actual expertise level. Proficiency means nothing, guys. You have to be proficient just to be able to upgrade to an expert level 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you spend all your resources that you possibly can have just to get to become proficient, and then you go to your expertise level and you go, holy shit, I just ran out of resources that are different resources, because it takes gear fabric, protective fabric. Your watch can't give you that, and it takes like satellite components, and your watch can't give you that either. So the only way to get that is to grind, or do what? Go into the vendors and buy more shit and deconstruct, but you just spent a lot of resources already doing that, so you're gonna have to do it again, which equates to ultimately more. It all translates to SHD. It all translates back to your watch one way or the other, whether it's today or 2 weeks from now or 6 months from now. But that leads to trouble. I've done it. So be warned. There's no shortcuts here. It's a marathon. There's layers. And so there's no hurry. My point is like, there's no hurry. Oh, I don't want to do that. There's no hurry because you're just gonna have to spend those resources, grind for those resources anyways, you know. So anyways, if that wasn't clear, it'll be more. So I'm basically doing expertise for dummies, and I am recapping all those shortcuts being promoted out there, because I think they're gonna lead you into running out of resources. You can do them anyways. Try it. Just try it. Do those shortcuts. You realize how boring it is, and you're like, man, if I just played the countdown or even the summit, I could have gained just as many proficiency levels without spending the resources, just donating my junk. So one of the best things about this expertise system, I gotta say, is it gives your garbage purpose. You know what I mean? It gives your garbage purpose, where before your garbage was just garbage. So, you know, now your garbage is treasure, right? Because you can donate your garbage into your expertise system. And so if you start buying components, buying mods, spending your e-credits on mods, and I get it, you're saying to yourself, what else am I gonna spend e-credits on? Well, when you run out of e-credits, you'll know what else you're gonna spend your e-credits on. When you run out of e-credits, you'll know what you need. That, oh shit, there's all these things that required e-credits I didn't realize needed e-credits. Like crafting gear, as an example, right? So, or just basically purchasing gear too, obviously, but you don't know how valuable those e-credits are until they're not there. I guess we'll say that. stun those rushers. But I'm saying this, guys, not because I want to discourage you from ranking up quickly. Please do. I hope you do. I hope you can. But what I'm just trying to save you the pain of losing all your resources, because I've done that. Now I've done it on purpose for a lot of because I've done these demonstration videos on how to consolidate your exotics and how to and I've done a lot of crafting as well on improvised gear, which I love and don't regret. But my biggest mistake, I did make a mistake, and that mistake is I should have done those demonstrations on my secondary character instead of using my primary character to demonstrate. So that was the mistake I made. The activity was just. And so the same thing with your proficiency. If you are going to tap into, if you are going to be buying things, if you are going to be tapping into your watch resources, even if that's just e-credits, fine, just do it on your secondary character. Do not use your main character to buy those mods, even if you have millions. Okay, just use your second characters. Save those millions. Save those millions. Also, remember, certain parts of that expertise system were nerfed and certain parts were kept as is. So, you know, the cost will fluctuate. But, so, you know, I've had a good time leveling up my proficiency just by playing Countdown. I've gotten so much, because you get so much gear and you're donating all the stuff you don't need. It just ends up being, you know, and that's pretty cool, huh? That staggering effect. I mean, I think it's really valuable keeping them from coming up here and pushing on G unit or whatever. But I am. There's great ideas out there, and so I'm open to those great ideas, and I'd love to hear them on how you've successfully leveled up your character, expertise, and whatever. But from what I can tell, and it's still early, and I realize, and there's probably some other great ideas that have yet to be discovered. But just from what's out there, you know, the whole, you know, it's a pretty daunting task. It just, I mean, and so I wanted to try it before I judged it. You know what I mean? And just like. So what I did is I went and bought a bunch of mods, and I was like, oh man, this takes forever. You know what I mean? And it was just like, and then I just went to my second character too, and just started buying a bunch of, just started tapping into my watch, because it cuts out a step when you use your watch, right? It cuts out a step. And so, because you don't have to buy and then crush, you can just go straight to donating. So that's faster. It is faster, and I don't care about the resources, because the way I look at it is like, okay, like one character, for example, had 5,000 SHD extra resources that I use. She's just a bank, right? She's just a bank. She's there for that task, right? And so I was like, okay, so this is obviously the fastest way to use your character. Now I realize it's not the globally accessible, because not all of you guys have watches, big watches, right? And you need thousands. You need thousands on your watch, so you know. So because I spent 1,000 on my watch and I barely made a dent on it, so you know. And so it's not globally accessible, because not everybody's got 6,000, 7,000 watch like I do. So I get that, you know. So that's why but it is officially the fastest way, because you just go right into your watch and then transfer those resources. But it doesn't get you anywhere. It still leads you nowhere. Because it doesn't matter how much I rank my expertise up to 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter, because you don't have enough resources to start expertise leveling up the grade of expertise on all your gear. You don't have enough resources to do that. Nobody does. Nobody does, unless you crush everything in your backpack, everything in your stash, and like use up all of your protective fabric. Those protective fabric and whatever they call it, satellite components or whatever, you can't. You can acquire things and buy them and smash them, but it does, you know, that's a form of farming. It has to be farmed, you know, I guess is another way to say it. Ooh, that's a nice SOCOM. Oh shit, I forgot. Oh, save me, save me. Fuck, I thought we were done. Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
Agent killed. An agent
Yeah, Jay Smith, and that too. And so part of it is, and so there's a better strategy. Of course, you want to expertise up. And Jay Smith says, I only use resources on ranking up exotics. And so one of the first things I did, and that's on the, so I put up the guide, and you know, follow it exactly like I do, did it, or come up with your own way, but or use pieces of it, whatever. But one of the first things I did was dispose of my extra exotics. So I disposed of my extra exotics that way. So I took my second extra exotics that I didn't need, and then I donated them to the expertise system, and it was a fast way to bump them up, right? And then from there, I was experimenting, just, you know, for the video. But as you can see, I got my Regulus fully proficient, but it was expensive. It was expensive. And then I did my Mantis too, and it was expensive. So it will clean you out. And so, like the Catharsis, just so you know, I got my Catharsis fully proficient just by playing Countdown, and all my Heartbreakers set. Look at it, this is all proficient. The star means it's proficient just from playing. Sorry about that, guys. I screwed up there. So let's try again. Did we Delta? I hit hard.
Anything stand in your way.
So yeah, I think that's smart. So like, I wouldn't go for just every exotic though. Like, so, and then my guide will help you a little bit more. So please forgive me hopping around here on subject. But one of the things is like whatever build loadout that you have that is dedicated to like the one that you use to like farm XP, that should be your priority, right? Because everybody's farming XP right now because of the rewards track, right? And maybe you've already done that, but whatever your XP farm build is, whatever one you use, maybe it's a Negotiator's build, maybe it's a Striker, maybe it's a Scorpio build, whatever it is, that should be the build you're focused on first. And so maybe it includes the Coyote Mask, and then if that's not a thing for you, then you go for those really commonly used items, like the Coyote's Mask, or maybe it's the Chameleon for you, or the Capacitor. These are things that are used a lot in a lot of different builds, so you can gain value of that. But this is the deal, okay? So like, let's just say you spend hours and hours and hours and hours in playing, all right? And I think another content creator made this point too, which is you spend hours and hours and hours in playing, and you know what? And then you get to expertise level 3, and then you tap all these resources and do all this farming just so you can get yourself to expertise, so you can get that Coyote Mask up 3%. You know, is that gonna, you know, it's not that exciting, right? I mean, you're not even gonna probably notice it. You're probably not gonna be like, yeah, you know. I mean, it's a cumulative thing, of course. It's intended to be cumulative, right? So you get a little bit more armor, a little bit more power, a little bit more whatever, and together, that's gonna help you feel more godly-ish on that, whatever, right? And so my point is like, for me, I'm almost, and I went at it, but you might think about it differently, but I'm thinking like, God, it's almost worth it to, God, they always come after me, those drones.
Vital signs critical.
It's almost better to like wait until I get to like expertise level 10 and then pick those priority items, because it's like, just to use all my resources to get to level 1. I don't know. But you do got to spend your resources. I mean, you don't want to like bank your resources, because then you're passing up on resources. So, you know what I'm saying? So let's say, for example, you got your printer filament is at level 10, right? Or 2,000. It's at level 2,000. So printer filament, you got 2,000 resources. So if I don't start spending my printer filament, that means I can't collect more printer filament, right? So you gotta spend a little bit. All my med kits up here, aren't we? We need some sort of decoy. That's the downside about a Negotiator's build. There's not a lot of healing. We can fix that though. You know what I mean? We can make this multi-purpose build. Because, and I've said that about Negotiators. A lot of builds are like that. Like, If you like the pestilence is like that too. I should have got more ammo too. If you're not using your, if you're not out firing, then you're. That's kind of what the build is. This build is best if you're like constantly firing, right? And the pestilence is like that too, so that you can lay the stacks on as many enemies as possible. And so I have gunner on too, but the reason why we ran out of ammo is because we died or we restarted on that second phase, and there's no ammo box out here. And so when you restart without completing the second checkpoint, then whatever ammo you had at that time is what you spawn with. It's really annoying. It's really annoying on it doesn't bother me on Capital. It doesn't bother me on Roosevelt, but in District Union Arena, there's no ammo box out front. And it's really frustrating. David Cozier, it is better, and I do address that in the guide that's launching in the morning. He's right. So David Cozier is asking, well, what if I just go like right here, right? And then deconstruct this, and then we get that printer filament. See in the corner there, we got 6 printer filaments. So you can, but in my opinion, are you better off just going out there and farming for gear that you actually want? And along the way, you're gonna get these mods that you can deconstruct anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and I say this for you guys' own good, because you know when you spend all this time playing the game on an activity that's not that rewarding, you know, the game can get old and boring and lame, right? But yes, it is smarter. It is smarter to go that way. It is a smarter way. And the reason why is because you're not using those valuable resources, or a mix. Even a mix would be a smarter way. Like if you're like one of those guys that has, like literally, like no less than 4 million in resources, then I mean in e-credits, then yeah, you can probably pull off a mix of some sort. But what you'll realize is like when you see how many hours you have to stand in front of that vendor and buy these mods and then crush them and go back to that table, and you see like, oh my god, it moved it like a, you know, whatever. And you're like, okay, and then after an hour, or not an hour, but let's just say after about 30 minutes, you're like, okay, I got one thing. It's like, holy shit, I got 330 more things to get through. You know what I mean? You're like, this is gonna take me forever. Like, is that how you want to play the game? You know, it's not that important. It's not that important. You know? It's to have something leveled up that quickly, because you realize how unimportant it is when you go to max its expertise and you realize, oh shit, it's a whole nother layer of resources. You know what I mean? Now I need a protective fabric. I eats through protective fabric, and it eats through satellite communication components, whatever you call those. You know. Oops, ooh, that's not what I want to do. God damn it. Sorry, I still get used to my paddle setup. But yeah, and so some of this, you know, it might not resonate with you until you try it. So there's nothing wrong with trying it. You know what I mean? Like if you got several million e-credits, whatever, go out there and try to buy the mods. You know, fill it out, see what it does, and you're like, and you realize, I mean, for me, I got bored really fast. I was like, there's no way I can spend hours upon hours doing this, because that's literally how long it would take. Hours. Days? It is not a one-day task. I mean, I would if it is, I hope somebody can like record that session and tell me exactly how long it takes to get through all 355 items. And if you do that, you're insane. But I love you for it. I love you for it. But the whole thing is like the real what I'm saying though, and a lot of people don't realize this yet. What I'm saying is that you don't realize how much of a fruitless task that is until you go start optimizing or increasing the actual expertise level, and then you realize that it needs a whole bunch of different resources just to do that. So you're like, all right, I got expertise level 10. Let's just say you're at expertise level 10. You're all right. I'm gonna go take all my favorite gear and rank it to expertise level 10. And you're like, oh shit, I ran out of resources after 1.5 items. That's how expensive it is. It's really expensive, right? Up front, when you're ranking through efficiency, it doesn't seem that expensive, right? It doesn't. And the reason, but you gotta also remember that your proficiency doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, right? You get proficiency level 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at exotic. 4, 5, 6. It means nothing. You're either proficient or you're not. So all that proficiency rank is sort of nonsense. It's just more of a progress. You're all, you're either proficiency or not, and it's showing you your proficiency on your how close you are to being proficient. But proficiency rank 10, 11, it doesn't exist. So you're either proficient or you're not. And so yeah, so you're spending all these resources just to be able to add expertise level, but you haven't gained anything from any of those resources or all those hours you spent. That's just basically, you're just now getting started. And that will become more apparent to you when you do it, when you actually do it. So I'll give you the guide, I'll give you the video, but even then, it's only gonna be, it'll kind of click for you after you start actually doing it. But it all seems really confusing at first, and it really does, but once you kind of like, you'll get a grasp on it, and it'll become really obvious on how that system works. It will, you know. I think it's actually in the end, believe it or not, I think in the end, it's actually less confusing than the, what is it called? The optimization station. I think it's actually less confusing. And the reason why is because the, what you would call it? The optimization station has these additional resources that you don't use very often, you know what I mean? Like hyena components and true sun things, and it introduces those, and then you got to go to the crafting bench and you got to craft them and whatever, you know. And so that's why I think the expertise system is actually a little less confusing, and it doesn't seem like that now, but once you get kind of a grasp on it, you'll realize that, oh, it's pretty straightforward. There's no new resources they've introduced for this. It's all the resources I'm accustomed to every day. And then once you're beyond proficiency rank, proficiency is never going to be a conversation to you ever again. You're going to be proficient on all 344 things, and you're never going to think about proficiency ever. From that point forward, it's expertise level 1, which we call grades. Grade level 1, grade level 2, grade level 3, grade level 4, you know. And then in season 10, they'll drop more gear, and then you're going to have to get that gear proficient, and then from there, you're going to move that to grade level 1, grade level 2, grade level 3. So, but proficiency is just, yeah. So I think proficiency is what adds the confusion. The other thing that adds the confusion is like which items you're actually ranking up. You know what I mean? So for example, if you're working on a named item like the Dare LMG, that it's not all the credit and experience or proficiency that you're building to that doesn't go to the Bluescreen, it doesn't go to general LMGs, it doesn't go to the GR9. It only applies to the Dare. And so that's kind of confusing. We're like, oh, well, shit, well, what about my Walker and Harris? Well, when you're wearing Walker and Harris, you're getting proficiency on Walker and Harris, but it doesn't give you proficiency on any named Walker and Harris, like the Chain Killer. So the Chain Killer, you have to wear the named item to get proficiency on the named item. And then, so wearing the Chain Killer doesn't gain you any proficiency in Walker and Harris. Shit, those drones came after me. Looking at the both of those. So that's the other more confusing. Probably the most confusing part is that. It's just like, okay, so if I'm gaining the proficiency here, it's not working over there. No, the Twitch drops. Oh, actually, you know what? I might have received my Twitch drops today. They said that they weren't going to be available for Tuesday, but when I went into my mailbox today, I had some exotics in there. I had an exotic cache in there, and a legacy cache, but but I'm sort of confused because it doesn't say that they were from Twitch, of course. So, you know. But the Ubisoft did say specifically, that we wouldn't have them until the next client update, which is Tuesday. So no. But so it's possible that things I received in my mailbox were from something else, like in the rewards track. Damn it. I mean, I got 10% armor on kill too. That's still not enough. It's possible that this gun pulls a lot of aggro, but I keep using I'm using a lot of med kits, armor kits, more than I like to. I'll just put it that way. I'm not focusing a lot too. I'm just kind of shooting and deploying my skills. Just so you know, kind of talking about this expertise system, just shooting and deploying my skills. I'm basically doing the whole status effect thing when I need to reload. I'm just doing that. Whatever stacks I have at reload, I'm just doing it. $18 million. Yeah, you should probably spend some of those credits anyways, Von Jacobs. That's insane. 18 million. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not, I mean, you got to do something with your credits, so I get that logic. I do, you know. But my point is that it's also about your time, right? So when you see how long it takes, and even though might be the fastest way, it still takes so much time. It's kind of insane, you know. But yeah, I mean, you got plenty of credits. 18 million is an insane number, right? But Von Jacobs, I bet you, let me ask you this question though too, right? I bet you have a second character with a gigantic number of SHD points that you can claim. Ooh, look at that, a flatline on that. That's nice. Pick up that. With mag size, but MK16 fast hands. And if you do, then, you know, this is the way I look at it. Okay, so here's an example of a route you can take, right? So it's gonna take more than 4 hours to buy mods, crush them, and then apply that to proficiency rank. Ooh, look at that. It's gonna take more than 4 hours to do that. And to work through all of your items, which are 355 items, whatever. So it's fast. It only takes 3 or 4 hours, depending, to create a new character. So I think it's more. I think the most efficient thing is a second character, an additional character, and to to just use one character's resources full if you're gonna do it, and use one character's resources until they have none left, and then from there. Just delete the character, spend 3 or 4 hours creating a new one, and then you're gonna have all those resources over again as if you never spent them, you know. And so I think that's probably the route I would do. The only reason why I'm not gonna ultimately recommend that, but if you want to know, I think that is the fastest way, because it skips a step, right? It skips this constant back and forth from the vendor. It skips you from having to go out to the countdown or summit and farm for components, you know, and you don't really need components. You need really cool gear, you know, for builds and stuff like that. So I think that is the fastest way, but at the same time, what ends up happening is you're gonna get to this point where, like, oh, I'm blocked anyways. You know, there's a roadblock no matter what the proficiency is nonsense, because once I get the expertise, there's a roadblock. They've prevented me from, you know, doing that. Now I got to do the same thing all over again, except now it's about protective fabric and these satellite components. So now I got it, or whatever you call those components. I forget what they're called, but they don't come on your watch. That's all I gotta say. And so you're gonna have to go to the vendor and figure out what's the cheapest thing for me to buy. You know, and then crush so that I can refill my protective fabric and components, and then go spend those on expertise. So you're back to the same grind, and it's just like, oh, hours, days you're gonna be in there. Fucking guy. What an asshole. 3 fucking grenades on me. So it's just like this is all about you and how valuable you consider your time. You know, if you consider, you know what I mean. How valuable is your time? So, Jesus Christ. And so and you know, you're not gonna know how grindy it is until you try it. So I think, you know, so maybe it is gonna be, it is best that you know, don't take it from the horse's mouth, and maybe you just need to try it, you know, yourself, and then figure out like, oh well, shit, this takes forever, you know. Like, there's no way I'm gonna sit here for days and to do this. Yeah, like I have 4 characters, 3 mules, and I spent 1,000 SHD points on my fourth character, who could afford it, right? And you know, maybe I think I ranked up. So I got like I think how I spent that, if I remember right, to getting my. We need some sort of like, what is it, guys? Armor regen, armor on kill, but I'm using so many medkits, it's annoying. You know what I mean? I'm gonna mark this for recal, so we can get that resource. And so after 1,000 SHD points gone into that, I was sort of like, oh, that wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth it at all. You know what I mean? So many resources. Yeah, I don't know. Not much we can do about it now, but the problem with the Negotiator set is you're down slots, so not a lot of place to put regen, you know, unless we got rid of that. You know what would work is put it on the Catharsis. Now we're gonna lose crits though, so I'm gonna have to adjust for that. So crit chance on everything. I still don't know if it's gonna be enough, but I have to try. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. So the Catharsis will drop the heal and also give us more damage. Now crits should be better. But we already got crits, I guess. So we'll get 30% weapon damage, but you only take it when you get the pain, right? So I mean, you're okay. I mean, we were picking up armor kits, but it was just, you know, just kind of annoying. It's nice to have some sort of self-sufficiency. The problem is that the other thing is this, like, I could get rid of the booster and just not worry about having, you know, this. I have 18-second cooldown on that buff, and that's what it is, and just kind of time it out so you could do that too. You know what I'm saying? So, like, my stacks are 50, and my cooldown on my skill here is 18 seconds. So that means if I put a healer drone on one skill, then I just know that at most I can tap into that resource, into that status effect 18 seconds, once every 18 seconds. That's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. 18 seconds is pretty quick. So once it, because the reality is like, you only need to cram in more when you get those in those tight rooms with the chungas, and that is valuable. So you could change your skill for those moments. So let's see what the Catharsis does. Sometimes it also has to do with the team you're playing with, you know, right? So somebody could be running with like, stat. So I just say I've disrupted that tank right there. See that? Give us a little bit of time so that can be handy, right? Did that give me my mask? Well, I got hit with the drum, but I didn't get the mask. You know what I'm saying? Didn't I see that? Explosions aren't helping the mask. Is that weird? Doesn't seem right, right? Got the guitar. Oh, I put the Xenogetica? Oh, fuck. I thought I did. I was like, that. Okay, now that makes sense now. Jesus. What am I doing? Okay, great chance. Okay, 49%. We'll fix that later. I was gonna say, that doesn't seem right. You're taking explosive damage. You should, to the face, you should get credit for that. Somebody give me some XP for that. XP for surviving a drone to the face. Take that XP. And then we pulse, drop it. Where's my heal? Where's my heal? Right? I mean, how did I lose all my armor but not get a heal? Seems odd. Yeah, that heal didn't drop. It should have dropped. So the Catharsis mask is the one all the way to the right. So it shows it purged, right? So it purged, which is why it's so low. Because obviously my armor's down, so it dropped. It dropped. It was supposed to drop, but we didn't get the drop. And I've heard people reporting that, like that green cloud isn't coming all the time. That's the first time I've noticed it, though. Yeah, OG Dancing Bear, you're experiencing the same issues that I had, it sounds like, huh? He's using the new SVD. OG Dancing Bears. And I tried it out for the first time, and it's like, okay, you gotta have to carefully build around this thing because like when we created our SVD build in the past, which was not that long ago, just a couple of months ago, we decided that Lucky Shot was the best talent for it because of the ammo issues. They don't give you enough sniper ammo, so you actually run out of ammo. Like fast, like we're talking like 3 reloads, and you're out of ammo. It's like, what is it, 144 ammo or something like that? 144 shots. Think about how fast you go through 144 shots on a semi-automatic. Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those guns that's like, well, I think once we get focus working on it, that's the real fix. It needs focus. It needs that extra damage from focus, so you don't have to put out as many shots, and it's okay if you land on the chest every now and again. But the ammo thing, yes, it's got to be figured out. Sometimes my finger hits the paddle and I got that switch weapon paddle. See, it didn't happen there. Or, well, I guess I haven't hit that mark, but still, it's like, damn. Give me that green cloud. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that. I think that'd be the better fix. Is to like, you need some sort of heal, and the Catharsis mask isn't kicking up fast enough to like to where you get it where you need it. So I think you need something to go along with it, you know. And then you can't go armor regen. You just don't have a lot of slots for that. You know what I mean? We'd have to like replace these gloves for armor regen. Like one piece spellstone, and I don't know if that's worth it either. You're better off just dedicating your skill. And so basically what that means is we'll use our again, focus more on shooting, and then we'll just deploy the status effects every 18 seconds. How far did you get, Felix? How far were you able to get? Like, how many things did you make proficient that route? Yeah, the Emperor's Guard needs could be good. They would work. Duration. I mean, the duration one, obviously the armor regen would. You'd probably be better off with the Bellstone though, because you're not getting anything from the duration. So one piece of Bellstone would probably be better. And then you can roll crits on the other two slots. It's being tough in here today. Oh, heck. On the thing, 111. The Dare is 79. The Journey about the same, of course. The Stoner is 95. So it is pretty. It's up there. I don't know how many of my others on there. What's going on, Pyramid? What up, brother? Right on, Felix. Have you tried ranking up your expertise on anything yet? Have you tried doing that? taking the next step, I guess is what I'm saying. So like ranking something up to level 5. All right, let's go.
Too late. My time has come. Sent shivers down my spine. Body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth.
What's up, Jarrell? Back at it. Yep. We are. Back at it, this time with the Bluescreen. Negotiators. Like, if you guys if you're wondering, like, power-wise, like, it doesn't feel like especially as strong, and it doesn't feel like weak either. It's like kind of middle of the road. Like on the power side of things, like, I don't know. Unremarkable, I guess would be the best way to say it. In either way. Like, I think they could have probably given it maybe a little more RPM since they were gonna. It's not a horrible RPM, but or a bigger mag or something like that. You know what I mean?
System disrupted.
660 RPM. The Dare is like 750, right? They give it more power, so I see why they lowered the RPM. But the smaller mag is kind of like, We look at the RPK. So it's not power with RPK, so it's up there. So it's top 3 LMG damage wise. It's close to the RPM there. Okay, let's see what they did. Did I get my green cloud there? I didn't. Oh, snipe.
Vital signs critical. Agent incapacitated. Agent killed.
It's all good, Felix. Just kind of curious if you got to that stage yet. Oh shit, that's stuck. That's because that was where I ran into my bottleneck. Like I was saying, I spent a bunch of resources doing the same thing, and I tried the mods. I tried the mods thing, and then I just tried going straight off of the watch. And then where I literally could not progress further, I could not progress any further, even if I wanted to, was the expertise system. Actually going for expertise. I did like maybe one or two things. I think maybe just one. I think it was just my Mantis, actually. So once I had everything proficient, then I just went for the Mantis. I leveled it up maybe once or twice, and then I ran out of resources, and I was like, what resources did I run out of? And I was like, because I just filled all my resources back up using my second character. And then I looked at my resources, I was like, oh, it used different resources. It used the protective fabric and the components, whatever they're called. It's gonna drive me crazy. What is that name? Let me look. It's gonna drive me crazy. And I can't remember that name. It is resources, and it uses the expertise system uses like steel and some other things, but it also uses receiver components and protective fabric. So I used up both of these. So you notice your cap is 2,000 and I only have 170. See that? And so the only way you can get those things are basically by leveling up. Or not leveling up, really by playing and getting gear and then deconstructing it. And of course you can figure out what you can buy to get you that same stuff, but so you can start buying it, but then you're kind of back at that same task. Here I go, buying, crushing, buying, crushing, buying, crushing, buying, crushing, buying, crushing, hours of that, and then you go up and like, oh, okay, so I level up something. Oh shit, I'm out again. Couple more hours of buying and crushing, buying and crushing, buying and crushing, buying and crushing. Level something up. Oh shit, I'm out again. It's like it's gonna be like that. And that's how I'm saying that because of how fast I ran out. I mean, I ran out like with inside 3 expertise levels. What up, King? I don't know, Jarrell. I haven't been to Kenley College in so long. That's a good question. Do I dare go to Kenley College? You know, one thing you gotta realize is like, you can, like, if you try to save your stacks, I just thought about this. Like, if you try to save your stacks and then you accidentally deploy your fixer drone, like you're like, okay, I got all these stacks, I'm gonna save them for this next room, and then you deploy your fixer drone, you'll lose those stacks. It'll go to nowhere. All right, I'm ready when you are. About negotiators is that as long as you guys have had guys tagged, it comes to you eventually, right? Just tag and keep tagging. They can run around in line of sight, out of line of sight. Proficiency level up, Negotiator's Dilemma. Easiest way to get your proficiency is right there. I do believe that, actually. The passive way is the most convenient way. When we were playing Countdown, that's how I got Heartbreaker fully proficient. Same with the Dare, Kingbreaker. I think the Catharsis Mask too. I didn't invest any resources into those, they just earned themselves. Gentlemen's players in the house. Yeah, Josh Carroll, I think you're right, because I mean, it's like the concept was supposed to be, I mean, it's a big enough map, right? It's pretty big. It's not too far off from Countdown. Maybe even bigger than Countdown. What do you guys think? Is it bigger than Countdown? Okay, so now we're gonna have to start crushing things, right? So there we go. What did that give us? Protective fabric right there. So chest pieces, I think in backpacks both give you protective fabric, which I obviously definitely need. So, which is weird, is I deployed my, okay, it's because no targets were marked, so that's good to know. So I deployed my skill, the fixture drawn, but because no targets were marked, it didn't consume it. So that's good. There's a little safety net there. We want to focus on the big, hard to miss targets, I think. Although we can tag up to 5, so. There we go, we got the green gas right there. I'll stun those guys. Oh, fuck. Took the full brunt of his. Oh, I guess I see why. I'm alone.
Agent killed.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played that too, Kenley College. It's probably a solid year, easy. A year. Right on, Daryl. You got some good luck there, huh? Right on. Yeah, I've been getting a bunch of named item caches. I'm sitting on them now. I don't know what to do with them. Right on, MBD. I'll see you in a bit. Yeah, we're probably gonna be streaming more countdown game mode too. So I just didn't want to take this one into countdown. I just don't feel like. Is anybody trying to use? That's a good question. I would love to hear if anybody has used the Bluescreen and countdown and found a build that made sense for it. The side just had a hard time. I felt like the target with 8 guys. It wasn't so much that the targets were too squishy. It's just that you got 7 other players shooting at enemies sometimes. You know what I mean? And so it's like they're just not alive long enough to get those stacks out. Nobody needs the status effects. I think that's also why you don't see a whole lot of Eclipse Protocol in there either. I think people have probably experienced that with Eclipse Protocol. Is that you can, but like the enemies aren't alive long enough for you to even need all that status effects. Sometimes it's sort of a nice to have, just like the Bluescreen was. It's sort of nice, sort of, when it was there. Like it was there against those tankier targets. like the heavies or the bosses, you know, but you didn't need it. It was just kind of nice, you know. So I'm wondering if anybody's like, yeah, run the blue screen and countdown and felt like it was worth it. Yeah, no, extraction is where it's at, man. I mean, extraction, I gotta be honest with you, this is what's crazy. I know, listen to what I'm about to say, it's gonna be like, what? What are you saying to me? Extraction makes legendary seem boring. The pace, it's the pace. You know what I mean? The pace is so fast with extraction, like legendary seems like we're in slow motion. I feel like we're in slow motion going backwards. And plus you got like the energy of like, you got the energy level of like 8 guys too, 8 guys and girls, you know, playing together and, you know.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
I feel like the ratio of like the points you get for the damage you take isn't right in legendary with the Catharsis. You know what I mean? Because they hit so hard. So they hit so hard, and look, my Catharsis twice I've lost my armor and I still haven't procced the Catharsis yet. You understand what I'm saying? Like, did they test? I think it should be legendary effective too. I feel like you should get that green cloud more than just at the end, because those guys cleaned out my armor twice, and my Catharsis is still like hasn't purged yet. I don't know, but that just doesn't seem like. Maybe it's weak for, or you gotta add up. I gotta put a lot of armor on. That would with regen and the Catharsis. So that would be the way to make it activate accordingly, I guess. You know what I mean? If I had a lot of regen. But still, I'm running 1.1 million armor. 1.3, shit. 1.3. You know what I mean? So like, for me to lose my armor twice and for it not to kick in doesn't seem like it's balanced for legendary. Have you guys used the Catharsis for legendary? Do you feel like it was working? Yeah. Yeah. So it's happening in heroic control points. I haven't really used it in heroic too much. I mean, maybe once or twice, but I wasn't the focus, and so I didn't notice. Josh, so I'm wondering, yeah, it needs a balance. I mean, and things are happening so fast and countdown that you like, it's sort of passive and it's okay, you know. But you're out of cover all so much too that, and then you got 7 other guys taking aggro. So there, finally got that cloud, you know. It heals pretty good though when you're sitting in one spot, so that's the good news. Thank you, gotta go. Jesus. No targets. It's like you can spend all your ammo on a guy that's in cover, you know? I don't understand why you would want the creeping death with Bluescreen. But, I mean, you can do the vial, but it's just sort of gonna tick at him a little bit unless you spec into it. And so then if you spec into it, then you got to think about your skills and your skill tiers, and then you lose weapon damage. I mean, I think we can make a build for it. We have to get really creative to balance that out. But if you don't have enemies tagged because you're supposed to be shooting them, then yeah. I mean, we tried that way first. That was the first way we tried, as a matter of fact. We tried going, we did the biomask first, and it felt very underwhelming. We did full status effect, so we fully rolled in onto it. Fully rolled into onto it, and it just felt really tedious to try to keep everybody tagged, because you got to remember, you drop. It's not like you tag them once, like Negotiator's Dilemma, and they're tagged until they die, or 30 seconds, whichever happens first. 30 seconds is a long time. Every time you purge, like, so right now, see, he loses his stack. He's no longer marked. So you have to constantly mark people. Every time you use it, you have to mark. So that's where it becomes really tedious. Overwhelm me, really? Get out of there. Leave me out. Oh, come on. Where's the Catharsis mask when you need it?
Agent killed. An agent needs assistance.
King Rex, baby! What up? Yeah, I did yesterday. I think it was yesterday when we did the for the I mean, not the full set, just because I'm not interested in hazard protection yet, but I did do a chest piece mostly. Perfect spotter. It worked nicely for, what weapons did we use? The Kingbreaker and what else did we try with? The Kingbreaker, Perfect Spotter, the Chameleon. So we tried it on the Kingbreaker and the Chameleon. Seemed to work nicely. I mean, you can actually run a spotter on this build too. You know, with the pulse. And then, it's not going to be the full time though, right? Because the pulse is every 18 seconds and then it doesn't last very long. How long does it last on this one? Let's see, 10 seconds. So you have 8 seconds in between where you're not using it. But we could showcase that. See, how do we bring in more power? Let's draw Negotiator's gloves. There. And then boom. That gives us more armor anyway, so that's kind of nice. Good chance. There we go. 55, 101. Then we'll get 40% from Negotiators. So we're still at 1.3.
Remain,
1928 with fire grenades. Yeah. Perfect. Or perpetuation. Czar Charger, good point. I'm not so great with my my concussion grenades. I find they dive out of them a lot. But that might just be an Xbox thing. Back here. Has anybody used the Heartbreaker inside a Legendary? I'm wondering how that is. Sure you can't run around like Countdown, but still gotta feel pretty good. That's a nice P416. I'm actually pretty surprised I filled up because I might as well crush some of these things now because we're gonna get more gear at the end. So I came in here 130, I think. What up, Parker? Whatever you want to do, bro. I don't know. I'm not paying attention. Got angles in here. This is why this room's tough, actually. It's the angles. They got an angle on you, and you got horrible angles on them. Because they can send drones and grenades at you. Need somebody to shoot. You know, the Catharsis mask is a lot like the Sawyer's knee pads in a way, where like It's best if you're not moving around a lot, right? And so on one side, it's cool, like as an out of cover, play out of cover piece, just for the damage, the 30% damage, but you're not really relying on the heals too much because you're pretty much on the go all the time. But otherwise, I think it really shines when you're kind of playing from behind cover, and you can still move a little bit, but you're playing in that zone, like right here, where you're just like back and forth. So when that cloud does drop, you're in it, you know? Which is still not a perfect system because you do bounce from cover sometimes, but because anyways, a moment ago, it like I left that spot and I moved to a new one, and I was like, oh great, of course it gave that squirt as I was on my way out, and so I didn't get any benefit from it. It was hard to get a shot in on somebody here. You do not want to get shot at in this room. They can get you though.
Vital signs critical. An agent needs assistance.
Team up before we all go down. Which might be soon. Yep.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Yeah. Decoy also works too, and it's got a faster cooldown. Throw your decoy, and then they can just go pick them up manually. Didn't want to mess with it. I think we still have the grenaders too, right? We haven't got the grenaders yet, have we? There they are. Speaking of devils. All right, let's see here. Crush. Junk. A lot of P416s today. Can't wait to put flatline on that, actually. That'll feel good. AG in the house. What up, man? Doing the blue screen negotiator thing. And so we were missing a little damage on there because I put on the revive hive, so we weren't getting the pulse. But we're trying it with the pulse now. Just about to get the boss mode. It'd be interesting to see it on boss mode. Let's see here. Because the reason why is because we'll be we can see if we can stagger that boss as many times as possible to keep him from, you know, doing his thing. So I'll probably switch my other skill for that. Go for haste actually. Well, should be doing that. There we go. You could also put on, there's other little interesting ways you can do. You could also put on like tag team, right? And then use like your turret or a drone, and then it'll increase the frequency in which you get up your skill, so you can use your pulse even more. Shave time off your cooldown. They didn't get very far, did they? Didn't get out of that door. So yeah, so for this one, I think we're gonna want a skill that we can drop, pick up. So I'll go ahead and put on that booster. Also a little bit of hazard protection won't hurt. If I had a tag team, let me see. If I had a tag team, who's this one? Is he gonna get it? Go tag team, skill haste, status effects. I mean, we could try that. Just for this test. Yeah, let's do that. And then let me just take off the protection from elites. It's not a bad thing to have it, protection from elites on this boss, but it is Negotiator's build, so. Oh, I got too many mods. One mod here. Hold on a sec. Okay, and then we'll switch on. So what I'll do is I'll put on the turret, and so the turret will damage. Whoever my turret damages will take off 6 seconds, I think is what it is. Cooldowns by reduce cooldowns by 6 seconds on a skill that is 16-second cooldown, right?
Serious trauma detected.
Hey.
Agent down.
Did they snipe me back here? They must have sniped me back there, right? Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, the striker drone can work too. I was thinking about it. Just that the striker drone can get shot down pretty easy, or shoot a target that you can't see. Because you gotta hit that tag, you know. Back. I kind of like that actually. I think I like that the best. Just the logic behind it is kind of nice. The other time it's just not accessible is when you know, you lose your turret, right? But otherwise pretty handy. Right there, hit him. See that? Save G unit's life with that tactic. See, it could be pretty handy to do that. Just every 6 seconds. I mean, you'll just basically have an unlimited pulse right there, because it doesn't have a very much of a cooldown in the first place. I mean, the only would be even more awesome is if you could put tag team and spotter at the same time, right? So let's disrupt these guys. Oh, see that? And we'll do. And we're not done. Oh, I switched weapons on accident. Both now? What happened? Nothing? He doesn't take it. You see that? Got a better spot. Let's see, I can't tell. Let me get full stacks because he didn't seem to, he didn't even blush. They're not stacking on him. Is it gotta be headshots on him? That'd be really annoying if that was the case. Notice we're not getting stacks off his body, or are we? A little bit. Okay. Let's see. If you shoot him in the chest. Just on the chunkas, it seemed to be like happening a lot faster when we were shooting the chunkas. If you shoot him on the head, does it make a difference? It took forever to get full stacks though, I gotta say. Pull some. Okay, so then you disrupt it. There we go. It just seems to be, it looks like it takes longer for it. It shouldn't though, right? Disrupted him. Disrupt them. Disrupt them. Yeah, I guess for that one. They both work. I haven't tried the True Patriot, but I think it's a natural one. Shooter Doc. I think True Patriot makes a lot of sense because it gives you a bigger mag. True Patriot's really nice at LMGs in general. So True Patriot's a natural setup for this also. From a different perspective, this one's a natural setup with Negotiators because it's all about marking targets, right? And crowd control, and that's what Negotiator does. It's sort of like a DPS crowd control. But True Patriot is a debuff, buff, debuff thing, right? And so from that perspective, you're debuffing the targets with the status effect, obviously. It's only a 5-second debuff, but it's a debuff. And you get a larger mag, and, you know, so that makes it really nice. It's like, you know, that which is nice for LMGs, of course. Back. We might as well get some more ammo while we're waiting. But and then I did run it with Heartbreaker, which also makes a lot of sense for LMGs because, you know, big mags, easier to get those stacks kind of thing, continuous stacking. But you know, I use it in Countdown, and it's just, you know, Countdown, just the blue screen is just not that great. So I've yet to try that combo out here, but it did feel. It was working. It was doing everything that you would expect it to do in there. It was just that the enemies were too squishy. Try to break that chain. There you go. Then you try to disrupt them from fixing the chain. There you go. Ooh, I put the wrong side of that box. Oh, damn it. This is my mistake. Get out of here. So there's also the, you know, you could do the Eclipse thing with this too. We haven't tried that yet. I'm not sure how I would run it with Eclipse. Like, let's see if we'll survive this. Yeah, good. Barely. Like, would we go? Because this is a DPS weapon. I feel like they've kind of sort of emphasizing that, like. And the reason why is because those status effects don't last very long. You know what I mean? Oh shit, that one touched me. Those status effects are, I don't have any medkits, so it's sort of frustrating. 5 seconds isn't very long. It's just a quick disrupt. It doesn't matter what it is. A pulse, you know, the disorient or whatever, disrupt. It's just all a disrupt if you look at it that way. You know what I mean? It's just not something that's just gonna, you can really. And so I wonder, like, you know, like if you ran it with a Eclipse protocol, it's just sort of like, well, you might as well just use your riot foam. You know what I mean? You might as well just use your shock traps, whatever it is you're doing, your fire cam, because you're not gonna have time to use to stack on everybody and, you know, whatever. But I don't know, but maybe there's something interesting there, like if we build an all red Eclipse protocol, right? And then put on the biomask, and then do something like the blind trauma, and then wicked or something. I don't know. It's not very thought out, but I think a traditional Eclipse and this weapon wouldn't really make sense. It's just like, if you're gonna your status effects skills are just way more efficient, right? You don't need to do any stacking. That's why I say it's like sort of better with like a DPS build. It's a way to bring in the status effects to a DPS type build or a tank type build. Because when you put this on an already good status effect build, it's just it's underwhelming. The weapon isn't doing much for you. Your skills their cooldowns are too fast on your skills. The status effects are longer on your skills. And so, like, if you use Rifle, you know, by the time you deplete your all 8 of your canisters, either the enemies are all dead or, you know, your cooldowns are coming back anyways. So it's hard to run out of Rifle. I mean, it's possible, but you never, like, really run out to the point where you're like, I'm fucked. Look at this guy. He's just hanging out on the edges. Do we need to pick up our skills? Are we scaring him? I think his backpack is broken. I don't see any... Oh, please don't have an angle on me. Damn it!
Immediate medical assistance
I'll
needed.
get that.
Agent down.
I'm getting impatient.
Agent deceased.
Yeah, and so that's sort of showing also like where I think that mask is just this whole time hasn't been helping us whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I think when I finalize this build, I like the tag team thing. I think it's not showing up right now how useful it is. It's because this guy's like almost on his, well, mostly because he's hiding, but when those waves were coming, I was like, ooh, this feels kind of cool. Like, he doesn't accept stacks very easy. Look, I'm wailing into him, right? And look, I'm not stacking on him. There's something weird with him. Are you guys seeing that? Or is it just me? There, look at the O at the bottom of my screen, right? That little O symbol. It looks like the hotel in Las Vegas. So look, it's just not stacking. So it means like maybe I gotta land only headshots for it to stack on him. Yep, that's it. See that? That's annoying. Only headshots on him. Which is fine. I mean, that's how you kill him, but... So there, so this will give us tag team. So we just gotta know we gotta only go for the head. So as soon as he tries to fix his gun, we will disrupt him. There it is. See that? That's a good use case right there. And then we're taking down our cooldowns. Watch the cooldown. Disrupt them. There it is. So I'm not sure if the turret needs to hit him in the head in order for that symbol never went away, just so you know. Like the skull, the tag team skull never went away. It was there on him the whole time. So it's sort of hard to tell if it was working on him. He's kind of a unique target, right? Because you got to only shoot his weak points and then his head. But and so I don't know if it was actually working because it wasn't getting actual headshots. I don't know. You know. Backpack filled up again. Twice the backpack filled up. Ooh, I want that TKD. Close and personal. I keep getting it with close and personal. See how we did on damage. 70 kills. 76. So Captain Spiky using the double skill build, he got more kills. Probably because we spent a lot of time on the ground too. But that said, I don't think this mask is helping us at all. So we started out with the crit mask. We're probably better off with the coyotes. You know what I mean? I mean, in Uzina Getica for the more armor, I mean, you can. I just equipped this just so you know for the tag team, but I think we'd probably want like a Grupo or a Cheska with tag team. I think that's the build that I'm gonna try basically next. I think I think we're on the right track with tag team, because see, although it's not giving us damage, right? It's increasing the uptime of our scanner so that we can make the other one this, I guess, basically. We can put like, well, that makes you kind of wonder, like, what if you made it a hybrid, like skill damage negotiator? That's kind of interesting. It's kind of getting interesting now. That's leading down a path. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know how you guys all saw that? Remember that negotiator skill build that I created, where it was a hybrid negotiator skill build? So what if you put skill, like, maybe roll into the skill damage here? So it's like red crits. You still gotta have crits, right? So you got crits with skill tiers. What do skill tiers do to this? Duration. So increase the duration of the pulse, which we don't care about. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit more and try it out. Kind of curious on how that would pan out. Oh, Electro Scarlet, it's all good. It's all good. No apologies required. So we'll just we're recapping this build and kind of thinking through my next steps on it. Yeah, good call, Colin. You could also put the Night Watcher's mask on any of the builds, right? We could go that route too. You know, that might even be the smarter way to go than the Coyotes. It is, having that max uptime on your pulse is really handy, right?
An agent has left your group.
Basically, the more you have your mask, I mean, the more you have that, then, you know, then it frees up your other skill. So if you do this, it does free up your other. Oops, that's the wrong one. Do I have one of those right now? Yeah, Night Watcher right here. So I got a crit one, which is nice. So then that frees up our other skill to go back to the healer, basically, which is really handy because we do need the heals, as you can see. Feel like a healer drone is doing a better job at keeping us healed than that mask, the Catharsis for this setup. The legendary, the problem isn't the mask per se. It's just not tuned for legendary enemies. They hit so hard, they clean your armor so often. You need something more. So then you can run closer, and then you can put up more damage. That's the build, right there. And Colin just helped us by mentioning Night Watcher, because I just wasn't thinking of the Night Watcher. It's been there the whole time, right? But thanks, Colin, for bringing it up, because it slipped in my mind. So let's see here, 49, and then, I mean, I wish I had crit damage there, but it's got headshot damage. But there we go. That's the build. Let me tell you why. Okay. So we got the 1.2 million armor thanks to Uzina Getica, which is giving us 5% more total armor. But we're getting perfect spotter, so we get that 20% amp damage. I realize it says total weapon damage. And then we still got a 4-piece best in slot Negotiator's Dilemma with the backpack being best in slot, which is giving us that hostile negotiations damage from 60 to 100% critical measures. So this is an ideal setup, with the exception of the mask. The mask is something we are bringing in so that we have that scanner pulse up 100% of the time, so you don't have to rely on a second skill. Look at the cooldown. So it gives you, so if you didn't know, this mask gives you 100% scanner pulse haste, 100% haste. So 9-second cooldown, 11% duration, which is basically a net negative 2-second cooldown. Basically, it stays up longer than the cooldown, right? The effect is out there longer than the cooldown. So, and we could basically roll in the cooldown even faster and decrease the duration. But because we're picking up damage off the duration, we want the duration too. So it's good to have the duration there. So we get the 20% amp damage, and then that 20% amp damage is applying to all 3 targets out there, right? So three targets from critical measures, hostile negotiations. So, and then we're getting the 40% critical hit damage buff when we get the 3 kills. And then, so that's gonna push us to 152, and we'll keep, that'll stay at 55%. So yeah, this is probably the more optimal setup. Anyways, we want to talk, just spend a couple of minutes on this little dealio here. And so as you can see, just from playing the game, we got all these items. And then what we're gonna do is go into here. This is just routine, right? And expertise. And then I'm just gonna dump the junk. And then it's gonna spread to whatever accordingly, right? Now, as you can see, my expertise system is almost level 4. And I haven't, besides just testing those routes that I mentioned earlier, like buying mods or whatever, I haven't, like, all of that's come from just playing basically countdown. So as you can see, I have 13 things proficient. 2 of those things became proficient because I bought mods and sacrificed mods. Or one thing, really. It was just one thing, and then the other thing was because I went to my other character and just dumped a bunch of resources into it. And so I think the weapon that I did most was, yeah, so was the proficiency was added to this mantis. So I made it fully proficient. And then the other thing was the Regulus. I made it fully proficient. And then I think the other thing was the Coyote's Mask was almost there, and I just kind of finished it off. The Catharsis has a rank 1, and I was just for testing. So just to see it, learn how it worked. And so the reality is this one's not God rolled, so I wouldn't want to waste resources for it. And if you haven't realized, you're better off optimizing your piece before increasing its expertise, right? Does that make sense? So you want to optimize your armor regen, income and repair, spend your resources there, and then when it's God rolled, then you should roll into your expertise. You know, unless you're really after that base core attribute, which I don't know. It's not that hot. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else that I ranked up. So I think that's it. And then I ran out of resource. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This was the one I must have tested. Oh, let me put that back. So this one, this is the one that I tested. So I ranked it up twice, and then I ran out of resources. I literally ran out of resources. So expertise, that is. See, it's expertise level 2. So I ranked it up twice, and then by ranking it up twice, I ran out of these 2 things. And so I don't remember what my levels were on these things before I ranked up twice, but they weren't empty. Let's just put it that way. So it was expensive. It was expensive to rank it up twice. So my point is that that's only expertise 2, and I'm almost to basically expertise 4. So I realized, shit, if you're trying to go through all your things and rank them all up to level 20, basically, oh my gosh, you're gonna be doing this for days, months, sitting here crushing things, buying things, crushing things, buying things, running back and forth, crushing things. So anyways, I don't know for sure, but it seemed like a long time to me. And so I demonstrate just by doing it on one thing, and just to be like, look at all the time it takes just to crush all these mods on one thing. And it felt too long to me. Multiply it by 355 items, and it'll feel even longer. 344. It's 344 total items. So it's just that's a daunting task. John B, I would say it's not worth leveling up the gear. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it for me yet. And so I think for me, like, the approach is like, you know, there's 2 ways to look at it, I guess, you know, but it's just like a little bit at a time, and then, you know, you're slowly, you know, I don't even know if that is going to make sense, but a little bit at a time, and then the accumulation, you slowly feel more powerful. Or, and I've heard somebody else say this too, it's just like, wait till you get to expertise level 10, all right? So you're getting a 10% increase, and then be like, what is that one thing that I really want to boost? And then you're just going to feel the difference. It's the same thing though, really. It's just like, now I can tell, now I can feel it, you know, instead of the subtle increase. The problem is by waiting till level 10 or waiting for whatever is that you have to spend your resources. You have to spend your resources little by little. And so you don't want to run around basically anymore with full resources. You want these to be depleted and to be used and to be refilled and to be used and to be refilled and to be used and to be refilled over and over and over and over. So you don't want to run around with 2,000 printer filament, you know? You want to come in here and spend it down just a little bit, right? So, you know, let's pick a weapon or, yeah, let's pick our Mantis. Or it's already proficient, so I can't even do that. So if I wanted to upgrade this, let me just show you. Upgrade this. It's not gonna let me upgrade it. Upgrade. It's not gonna let me upgrade it. Nemesis. So let's see, let's donate materials. So you just want to spend it down a little bit so that you can go out there and get more of these printer filaments. So I'll spend it down to, like, you know, 1,600 or whatever, 1,400, doesn't matter, whatever your number is going to be, 1,500, right? And so now when I go out there and crush things or, you know, whatever I'm going to do, like mods that I don't need and crush them, then I'll be able to collect more printer filament. So it's getting your inventory, you're investing your inventory in here and you're not wasting time with a full inventory while you're farming. So, you know, you constantly want to do that, kind of keep your, if you look at your inventory, the devs increase your inventory on all these things. See, all these things have been increased. So I think they were at 1,200, now they're at 1,500. Printer filament used to be at, like, what was it? It was like really low, it was like 300, right? And now it's at 2,000. Also, if you look at your resources here, somebody brought up the other day too that even your exotic components are now way up. So you can crush your exotics. Look, 100 exotic components, up from 20, right? So basically, use a little bit. Don't keep it full. You know, if you see that your watch is full on everything, go in here and spend a few of them down. Drop their levels down to like 1,000 or even more, and then go out there and start playing the game, and you'll refill it naturally, right? Just by playing the game, crushing the things that you don't want. And so what you would do is, but you don't want to crush everything. You want to go in here, and then you want to donate your junk. Whatever's left over is what you crush, because not everything will donate. You're going to donate all your junk, whatever's left over. There will be things left over, then you crush it. And so the things that I won't accept will things that are most likely you're already proficient with. So I know that's all sounds really confusing. So I should probably stop giving it to you in bits and pieces. You know what I mean? And so just look forward to tomorrow's video. I really hope it clears it up, because I'll have visual demonstrations of me doing it in a logical flow. Okay, so I break down this how-to video in a very logical flow. And I know you've seen all of those too. Some other people put those videos out also. And so hopefully this will just add to more clarity to all of that, right? Because the reason why is I think, like, you know, some people put out a video 2 days ago. Some people put out videos in the PTS. Some people put out a video yesterday. And every day we learn one more thing about the expertise level, you know, leveling up system. And so the one thing that I learned that I think I have an advantage on than the video that went out yesterday or 2 days ago is that everybody started pumping out this whole go buy mods, go buy mods, go buy mods. And it's like, oh, wow, I don't know if you want to do that. It seems very at the surface. It might seem like, oh yeah, this is really easy. I'm spending 10,000, crushing it. I got, you know, 100 million in e-credits, so it's not a problem. You know what I mean? And it's like, didn't you do all that? And you're like, yeah, all right, time to go level up. I'm expertise level 10 now. And you're like, oh shit, I did all of that energy, and it's like I can't even make one of my items level 10 again. Back to the grind. It's just like, yeah, so you're gonna get stuck in that vicious cycle of grinding, you know, running back and forth, crushing things just to try to rank one thing up to level 10. It's just like, pace yourself here. You know what I mean? It's a nightmare. And so all I can tell you is that it's not designed to be a race. This is a marathon. I got to level 3 just from playing Countdown. You know, 90% of that from Countdown, a little bit from testing, but a lot of that was from Countdown. So we're almost to level 4. Now, I'm not bragging about that. Probably a lot of you are at 3, 4, maybe even greater than that. But, you know, most of it's just from playing the game. So you want to spend your time playing the game. So anyways, so, yeah, anyway, so I will cut the stream off there. Actually, that's where I'm going to end it. And then we will I will continue working on this blue screen build on my side and kind of bring it back to you guys at the next level. And then tonight we will be streaming. In a few hours, I will be going live again. And this time we'll be doing a countdown gameplay. Countdown? Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it. Countdown gameplay. We'll be doing countdown gameplay in the next live stream, so look forward to that. All right, all. Catch you in a little bit.
Tuxedo out.
Notorious. Notorious.
Raw flows, and that's how it goes.